Last episode, I was discussing the sabotaging, the things we do to ourselves to stop us from moving forward. So today we're going to go into some tools and some concepts to support in that transition such that you can get into that forward movement a little bit easier. And also, if you slip back, how to switch it so it doesn't cause you to slide back a day, a month, weeks, whatever it is for you. So if that resonates for you, keep listening and let's get into it. Here we are with the 13th episode of Ember in the Dark. I am your host, Mike Warren. And like I said earlier, we are going to start going into some tools that support in getting to the other side to create traction when we are attempting to get consistent in our actions and we maybe slide back. Or maybe you're in the position of wanting to move forward, yet you keep kind of spinning your tires and experiencing the looping process. And so just a quick recap in regards to the sabotaging, the revenge that plays out on ourselves is, and this is kind of across the board, I would say, for a lot of individuals. I'm not saying everyone. However, people that tend to have a low self-esteem or low self-worth. And low self-esteem means just a low self-estimate of oneself or capabilities, right? And so, we make a choice and we don't maybe realize the choice we've made and the prices that are going to be paid from that choice until down the road, maybe a day later, maybe a month later, whatever it is. And we look back and there's some form of shame, guilt, regret for that choice, whatever it was. And what happens is we tend to replay the story as a form of self-penance, self-pity, that we got to pay that price because we messed up, whatever that choice was. However, or let me back up, the idea of why that is, somewhere along the way, we feel, or I should say, I feel, and if it resonates with you, it resonates with you. I feel that if I play that story enough and feel bad enough, then I've paid my dues. I've made it better in some format. And as I'm speaking this out, it sounds ludicrous, However, it's a real thing. It's kind of like if, you've, I wouldn't say done something wrong or bad. However, if you've done something ineffective in a relationship, instead of taking action and course correcting it, it's like, I'm going to play the self beat up game and that's going to be enough to make it better. Because maybe the other individual might feel good or might feel bad for me. Maybe they'll give me some pity, say it's okay. I don't know, right? There's just some ideas in what's going on behind the scenes with that. And so this event, the situation happens, we look back at it, there's some shame, guilt, regret, those denser energies around it. Keep playing that story out so that we can feel, good about bad about ourselves, if that makes sense. I feel like I've paid my dues by beating myself up. Here's the truth. I've been doing it for about 3.5 years, and I would say in the last 3 months to 6 months, started realizing it doesn't work. It hasn't worked for 3.5 years. Why would it start now? And that's where I started looking at, like, things have got to shift. Things have got to change because what I'm doing does not work. So I started asking individuals, I started asking people that I look up to, people that have worked with a lot of other people, and started asking, what piece am I missing here? And one of the things that came out was, acceptance and forgiveness. And they kind of go hand in hand. It's like step one, step two. It's like, I guess I would say it's like one step. However, part A, part B, they kind of go hand in hand for the complete step. And so the first one is the acceptance piece. Whatever has happened has happened. And until we accept it for what it is, we will never be able to move forward from it. Never. Because there is some form of regret, resentment, some form that will be weighing us down. Going back to episode 6 and 7, talking about the anchors. This is a form of that. And so it will weigh us down because we haven't accepted it. We want to hide that part of ourselves. We don't want to bring it out. We don't want people to know about it. We want to hide it. And so it fragments us more so. And so what we got to start doing is accepting. This is what happened. And not from a place of good, bad, right, or wrong. Just neutrally look at it. And a tool that I use, is it effective or ineffective? Is it going to support me with what I say I want to create, or is it not? And if it's not, it's just like, okay, how do we shift it? How do we change it? And that's where the next piece comes in, which is the forgiveness piece. And this one might be hard, right? And when it comes to forgiving, a lot of people think they're letting people off the hook. If somebody stole from you and you forgive them, it's kind of like, I'm letting them get away with it. That's a common experience for a lot of people. However, the truth is, you're letting go of the anger, the frustration, the resentment towards that individual or towards that situation. That's the power of forgiveness, is that you can let those things go so they don't weigh you down. Now, how do we forgive? I'm still playing with this one. It's a daily practice for me. And I think, how I said there's acceptance and forgiveness, part A, part B. As I'm talking this out and I'm reflecting, I feel that I've probably been starting to move into forgiveness. And it's probably been about almost a year of being in acceptance. So if I were to put a timeline on this, it's 3.5 years of, put it bluntly, the shit show. And then there was a switch in the last ceremony that I sat in with some plant medicine where I got to a place of acceptance. And as I'm reflecting now from that point till as I'm talking this out, I'm recognizing I'm going in and out of forgiveness, because forgiveness, the idea of that is to give to yourself or another person or the situation as before. Meaning, if someone stole from you that and you forgive them truly, wholly, all the way through, authentically, you would not hold any of their actions against them. You would treat them as if they never stole to begin with. So I want you to translate that to yourself and your life, right? For you. Are you treating yourself the way you've been treating, that you would treat yourself before this event or this situation that maybe had kickstarted this challenging growth process? And if the answer is no, then maybe it's time to start exploring forgiveness. And if you're not able to forgive yourself yet, then maybe going to the acceptance piece. This is where I'm starting to recognize is it has taken me, I'd say 6 to 8 months, and doesn't have to be the same for you. Everyone's unique in their process. I am a stubborn mule, as my wife will put it. However, it has taken me, that 6 to 8 months to start operating from forgiveness. Now, what does forgiveness look like? Well, if you're somebody that would go to the gym and now you don't, going back to the sabotage that we talked about in the last episode, well, not going to the gym can be a form of sabotage, because a year, 2 years, 10 years down the line, health-wise, you will have more deteriorated health or physique, right? I'm not saying that the gym is the only solution, just for sake of the conversation. So forgiveness would be treating yourself as you did before the event, the situation, that choice that was made. And that's what I'm recognizing is I'm taking those steps for myself to forgive myself such that I have the capacity to go out and get up early. You know, I've been getting up and going to the gym at about 5:30 in the morning, which is ludicrous for me. Not something I'd ever thought I'd want to do, or, just that's not my cup of tea. However, it's like I'm looking at how do I shift things, and I got to do things completely different than I normally would. So going to bed early, waking up early, getting my butt to the gym. Now, I'm not in the gym. I'm not in a space yet to hit the gym hard and do heavy lifts and do the crazy workouts. So what do? I do my Qigong exercises and I do steady state cardio. Hit the sauna, shower or hot tub, go for a swim, shower, and then I'm out. Could I have done that 6 months ago, a year ago? No, I wouldn't have been able to, because the weight of the story that I had been carrying would not allow me to do that, because there's a form of I don't deserve it. My self-esteem, my self-worth is so low that I don't feel like I have the capacity to even deserve to go to the gym to create a healthy lifestyle, healthy body. However, once that acceptance piece happened of where I'm at and what has happened, I can begin to forgive myself through the consistent daily action. And that will slowly build up the self-esteem, the self-worth, such that I begin to, like a snowball effect, create more momentum until that self-esteem and self-worth is established from within. Because the good news, bad news is you're not able to find it outside of yourself. The good news is it's within you, meaning you have complete control. However, it is kind of like covered up until we get to a place where we can operate from forgiveness. Operating from forgiveness is treating yourself with kindness and compassion. And if you are unable to look in the mirror and come from a place of like, I forgive you, saying it to yourself, then I would suggest it might be time to look into the acceptance piece. And maybe there's some form of resistance or some part of you that is resenting a choice that was made or not made. And until there is acceptance of that, you're not able to move into forgiveness. Because the forgiveness of oneself is probably the hardest tools that I've had to learn, because there's literally a thought that I feel like I am unable to be forgiven. However, and I'm just realizing this as I'm talking to you, going back to my story of that disconnection, I was going, even though this is an internal process, and like I said, I'm working this out as I'm sharing this with you. Although it is an internal process going inward to connect with Source, Spirit, God, Creator, whatever that is for you, a part of me, as I'm realizing, was I was hoping to get a sign, communication, something from Source, God, Creator, Universe, whatever that is, to say that I was forgiven. And even though I'm going inward to do that, it's still technically an external source, meaning I am looking outside of me, in this case, higher power, God's universe, creator. I am looking at that to be the source of my forgiveness versus me choosing to forgive myself. And that part is key as I am speaking this out. And it makes sense on why I've been spinning my tires for so long. Because I feel that I need that form of connection to be the sign that I've been forgiven versus just me letting things go, accepting them, and then forgiving myself. And by forgiving myself means I could show up the way I want to as a father, the way I want to as a husband, the way I want to as a man, the way I want to in business, relationship, whatever it is. Yet I don't show up those ways because there's a part of me that is feeling like I don't deserve it because of the unworthiness, and I have not yet forgiven myself for it. And so that is I would say, the tool to navigate out of that sabotaging place. It is, so if you commit to making your bed every day and you miss one day, instead of going to extreme one side of, oh, there's no point, doesn't work, let it go, accept it, forgive yourself, and still make the bed. Maybe you make it a half an hour before you get into the bed. You still make the bed. You can renegotiate with yourself. I know I was going to get up at 5:30 today. I didn't. So because of that, I'm going to actually go to the gym at this time instead. And you keep those little words to yourself. Because when you're doing that, that's a form of showing yourself self-love, which also means there's an aspect of you that you have forgiven within yourself. So I hope this supports you in navigating those challenges, whether it's working on your business, working on your health, relationships, whatever it is, navigating this void. I hope this supports you with a little bit of a toolkit in letting those choices made or not made, letting them go, accepting them, and forgiving yourself such that you can move forward. So thank you for tuning in. And as always, no matter how dark it seems to get, even the smallest of embers can light your path. With that being said, create a phenomenal day.